Alright guys, today we're going to be attempting unicorn nails. This is my first try, so I didn't practice or anything, so what you see is basically me just winging it. I've already prepped my hand. I've got mostly ballerina with one stiletto on the nail that's going to be the unicorn horn. I'm going to be using Candy Cover Pink from SM Nail Candy. A couple glitter acrylics from the Nails Boutique, Kristi's Party and Kristi's Dream. Also, Pink Lemonade from the Nail Plug, which is like a hot pink, a sheer hot pink. That is Fairy from the Nails Boutique. This is my Candy Cover Nude from SM Nail Candy. And Vanilla Blue. Oh, I also ended up using Vanilla Blue Sky here. So we are going to go ahead and start laying that unicorn horn. I'm using the Kristi's Dream from the Nails Boutique. Now, when you're building this nail, you definitely want to make it a little thicker because you're going to have to drill down to put the grooves in. And you want it to be kind of rounded. You don't want it to be flat because then it's just going to look like a bunch of lines. So you kind of want to build it up until it takes the shape of a horn. So it's going to be way rounder than the rest of the nails. It doesn't have to be too bad, but you definitely want to give it that curve on top and leave plenty of room for you to file down. Now, I was completely freestyling this set. Didn't really have much of an idea what I was doing going in, other than the glitters I was going to use and the colors. That was pretty much it. So on this pinky nail, I decided to do a 3-color ombre with the Candy Cover Pink, the Pink Lemonade, and the Vanilla Blue Sky. And then I'm going to add some unicorn glitter to the top and encapsulate it. These colors blend really well together for the 3-color ombre. I really like those. Now for this middle finger, I decided to do kind of a tie-dye watercolor thing. I'm not really sure what it's called. So I laid down a lighter color at the base, just really thin, just to make the colors kind of pop, and I'm using the Candy Cover Pink. because I am going to do a small ombre with the nude after I'm done. But I laid this down so that I could lay the other colors on top of it without there being a lot of show through. I ended up using like every color I had out on here and just kind of blended them together, kind of like with a watercolor effect, just different spots, and kind of melted it all together. If you do this, I suggest maybe just using flat colors and not mixing glitter with it, because it tends either, it kind of makes it a little too separated. So if you do use glitter, I suggest using the glitter as like a vein to run through and separate the colors, as opposed to actual blocks of color. Although this did turn out really well, because I ended up putting heart-shaped glitter on top of it and encapsulating, so you don't really see the different bulkiness of the glitter. Alright, now that I have those colors laid down, before I do my ombre, the kind of boomer ombre, I'm going to lay down these little, it's like mylar heart-shaped glitter, the bigger plastic glitter, and I just kind of sprinkled it everywhere. It's kind of translucent with that mylar effect, so it didn't really overtake the whole nail, so I just kind of randomly placed that around. I laid down a thin layer of clear acrylic and then pushed that down into it so that it secured it. That way I didn't have to worry about it shifting around when I went to encapsulate. And then after I get that all laid down, I am going to take a small bead of the candy covered nude and then do a small ombre, because this is where my unicorn face is going to go, so I kind of want a nude base for it. Now, I'm kind of going out of order from how I usually do a set of nails, because usually I'll do the base layer across all 4 nails and then the color layer across all 4 nails, but this was kind of all over the place, so I just did each nail was so different from the next that I just finished one before I moved on to the next. Like, now that I have this encapsulated, I am going to go back to the pinky and add that unicorn glitter to it. And this unicorn glitter is pretty big, so I only added like 3 pieces because each piece took up like a third of the nail. But I wanted it bigger because I wanted you to be able to clearly see what it was. So I just laid down a thin layer of clear, push that down to secure it because it is bigger, and if you don't secure it in that clear acrylic, it's going to kind of poke up and you're going to end up filing some of it off. So you want to make sure it's pressed down nice and firm with your dotting tool or your tweezers or whatever you're using to place it, and then let that dry before you encapsulate it. By your side through all of the lies, watching you cry for me. Get on your knees
knees, apologize please. Now why don't you die for me? Call me the king, ruler of things. Give me that diamond ring. Get on your knees, apologize please. Now why don't you die for me? I can tell what you did by the picture. Made a man, I can deal with everything. Every night, even like I let go. And everything, that's a dream.
Okay, now on this nail I'm just doing a basic ombre. I'm doing the fairy from the Nails Boutique over most of the nail, and then over the top third I'm going to use that pink lemonade again. It's like a sheer hot pink, because I'm going to add those mylar strips here, and I want you to be able to see them really clear. And if I have too much glitter, you're not going to be able to see it, but if I just have the pink, it's going to make the whole thing look gold, so I kind of split it up a little bit. And I'm just going to cut the mylar sheets into little tiny shards and then run them up and down, because it helps give the nail a longer effect. It didn't look right here side to side, so just up and down, and it gives it a nice broken glass mirrored effect. And then I'm going to go ahead and encapsulate that, and then we'll move on to the boring stuff.
Stood by your side through all of the lies, watching you cry for me. Get on your knees, apologize please. Now why don't you die for me? Call me the king, ruler of things. Give me that diamond ring. Get on your knees, apologize please. Now why don't you die for me? I can tell what you did by the picture. Made a man, I can deal with everything. Every night, even like I let go. And everything, that's a dream. your side through all of the lies, watching you cry for me. Get on your knees, apologize please. No, why don't you die for me? Call me the king, ruler of things. Give me that diamond ring. Get on your knees, apologize please. No, why don't you die for me? I can go, but you drop an encapsulation. Late at night, I can deal with everything. Every night, you can make it let go. From difficult, that's a drug.
Okay, now I am going to take a cuticle bit or a needle bit, whatever you want to do, and just kind of carve out some basic lines in this. We're going to go back over it with the edge of like a barrel bit to make them deeper, but you want to use something smaller here just in case you mess up. You don't want to have filed too deep into it, so you can still, fix it and cover it up. So you're just going to lay out your basic swirl pattern here, kind of slightly diagonal with your cuticle bit, and then you're going to come back through with your barrel bit and use the very edge of it to just kind of file a little bit deeper, or you can use your needle bit as long as you maintain the same width of the line all the way through. And then after we get our grooves in, we're going to add a little bit more acrylic to the top of the ridges just to give it a more 3D effect, so it's not just flat lines. That way it gives it the grooves and the swirls that you want to see.
Stood by your side through all of the lies, watching you cry for me. Get on your knees, apologize please. No, why don't you die for me? Call me the king, ruler of things. Give me that diamond ring. Get on your knees, apologize please. No, why don't you die for me? I can go, but you drop an encapsulation. Late at night, I can deal with everything. Every night, you can make it let go. From difficult, that's a drug.
Alright, now that we've built it up, we are going to encapsulate it. I'm just going to cover it with a super thin layer of clear, and you want to take your brush and make sure that you run your brush along those grooves. That way the clear doesn't just fill them in as it dries, because as it dries it'll settle into those grooves and you don't want that. So you want your clear to be a little bit thinner so that you can move it around and it doesn't get too thick in the grooves. So just make your brush flat like a spatula and just run it quick swipe through all of them to keep those lines clean.
By your side through all of the lies, watching you cry for me.
Alright, now that we have everything encapsulated, we're going to go ahead and do the boring parts. We're going to do our filing. Just using my sanding band to clean everything up a little bit. We are going to be filing that horn, just because we don't want it to be all lumpy and gross looking. So you're just going to take your sanding band and give it a quick swipe across the top. Then you're going to take your shaping files to the sides just to give it that nice clean edge. Now you don't want to file this too much because you don't want to get down to those grooves. You want to make sure that the spaces stay as level as they are. So just take your shaping file to the sides, quick swipe on the top with the sanding band, and then a good buff, and then we're going to wipe down with acetone. Alright, now that we've done all of that, before I top coat, I am going to do my hand painting because I think, you know, just to keep it protected. I'm just doing the kind of unicorn eyelash thingy here, which I'm just using like a super small dotting tool and doing 2 small half moons for the eyes with just 3 dots for eyelashes. Like, this is easy enough that even I could do it, and I'm awful at this. So do your little half moons, cure that, and then 2 little triangles for ears right here. And then we're going to stick a flower and a horn right in the middle of that, and we're going to call it a day, because I can't hand draw or paint, so I'm not going to try. And this is adorable without any artistic talent at all, so have fun with that.
By your side through all of the lies, watching you cry for me. Get on your knees, apologize please. Now why don't you die for me? Call me the king, ruler of things. Give me that diamond ring. Get on your knees, apologize please. Now why don't you die for me? I can go, but you keep medication. Late at night, I can deal with it. Every night, you can make me like you. That's a truth.
Alright, now I'm going to add that little Swarovski crystal for the horn here, and then we're going to cure that and take a look at the finished product. this was a lot of fun. I highly suggest you try it, even if you're a super beginner, because you really can't do anything wrong. I just kind of blurred a bunch of colors together and carved out a horn. It was a lot of fun. Really happy with the finished product. If you have any questions, comment down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.
Duck, duck, goose found a pussy in a dollar bin. Guess you forgot your calendar bin. Can't get it loose. Kitty cat's got your tongue again. Rope burn on your